basically on the fix and flip that we're doing as a straight investment, we bought it great. It's just that when we got started, I work as a contractor and as a real estate agent. And so my hope was to bring in a guy who would help manage the project to just make it easier. He's going to get stuff when we need it and all that. And he also brought in the labor, and that's where I went wrong. I allowed him to bring in his people. And
so what's going on there specifically? He's not in this mentorship, is he?
No, we split ways. We parted ways with him. We
had to redo quite a bit.
We had to redo a lot. Yeah, we had to redo the showers and
sheetrock
and fix the floors, and it went bad in a lot of ways because the guys really couldn't finish. They were okay with some framing stuff, but when it came to finishing, we had to basically start over. So the guy wasn't really managing the projects well. I failed to manage him, and to check our finishes as we were going along. And so unfortunately we learned a lot of things the hard way this time.
Now we're just trying to wrap it up, basically.
Yeah. Ashton, how frustrating and nerve-wracking was all that?
It's frustrating for sure, but I do feel blessed that we have cushion. I guess we can still stand to make some money on it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. The upward trend in the market's not a bad thing right now, right? Especially for learning how to fix and flip.
Yeah.
So a couple things. The guy who you brought to the table, because you were thinking, hey, look, I'm already working as a contractor. What kind of contractor are you? Not a new build guy. Are you a remodel contractor?
Yeah, remodel.
So you deal with homeowners who are the worst of the worst.
Right.
I was a remodel contractor for a long time, and it's so addicting because it's so fun and you get to do way more interesting things than you do on a fix and flip.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But chasing money and arguing with homeowners that don't have any clue what they actually want or how construction works is really, really tough business to be in.
For sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
So he's kind of getting away from that recently.
Yeah.
So tell me, instead of, why didn't you just manage it yourself? Like, how's your structure? Why did you feel like you needed to bring another guy on? I'm sure there's a great reason. I'm just curious.
Just that between real estate and construction, I've just got so much going on. I figured that it would be, it would free me up. It'd be beneficial, and we'd be able to get it done faster.
We were going to be working on this house.
Yeah.
Too. And so
the house you're living in?
Yeah, we bought it to do a live and flip, and
this was a shed, and now it's an apartment.
Yeah.
That sounds like the most Louisiana thing I've ever heard in my life.
We have an alligator in our backyard.
Yes.
You're like, this used to be a shed, but now it's an apartment. Oh, that's so good. Ashton, you're not joking.
No, I'm not.
No, it was like a garage turned shed, and the only thing that lived in here for like 50 years was rats. So we got it.
That's amazing. So you guys have been working on that, and then you're running your real estate business, and then on top of it, you have a construction business that you're working. It's a completely different business, right? Like working for homeowners is very different than fixing and flipping.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
so on your fix and flips that you have currently going on right now, why did you think, and I'm asking this question primarily because I want other people to pay attention to this, because I can tell you the number one reason why people fail at fixing and flipping is what you're currently going through. It's not finding the deal. It's not getting the capital. I think people get fearful of those two things, but then when they realize like how easy it is to actually get a fix and flip deal, it's like, I could make one phone call and get a deal right now. And then I could make a second phone call and get money. And I think you guys agree with that.
Yeah.
So it's nice to highlight that for everybody else on the Zoom. The second thing, so besides all of those things, which everybody thinks is the hardest thing, the only thing that really is challenging on a fix and flip is when you start the construction all the way until you close escrow with your new buyer. Cause then all the craziness starts happening.
Yeah.
So why did you think this guy was going to be great, or did you not really know and you were just hopeful? What was the story?
That was the thing. I was looking for I was looking for someone who could come into my business in general and help me as a project manager, someone with experience. And I had posted on social media. He reached out to me, and he was able to show me some of the work that he had done, some of the guys that he had worked for. We even went and drove to some of the houses. And so, I assumed at the moment that was enough due diligence, but truly it wasn't.
How quickly did it go wrong? Because usually, like when it's the wrong person, it usually takes less than a week.
Yeah, I wish I would have caught it that fast.
I feel like
What?
we
Tell
wouldn't
tell me
now.
when did you catch it?
When we started to install finishes, when I started looking at the drywall work.
Okay, so it sounds like what he did well is he probably did demo properly, he did framing properly, he did like all the rough stuff properly, but then when it required some craftsmanship, that's where things started going wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm glad that we brought in our own plumber and electrician. So I know that those things were solid, but the drywall texture was crazy. Like in this building, you see this rafter, that kind of stuff all over the place in that building. Same thing here. I tried to use a guy that I knew that was a small guy, give him a shot. So now we're gonna have to redo this drywall before we move or before we sell it. But that kind of stuff, when we got to looking at the finishes, it was not satisfactory.
Okay, so let's talk about you started realizing like, oh my gosh, the finishes are not great. And you thought maybe, okay, he'll go back and fix it. I'm sure there was even conversations where he's like, oh yeah, no problem. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Like all the things, right?
I'll give you that last drawback.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
still waiting on it.
So you tell him to go fix stuff. It didn't immediately go bad. It was like he said he'd go fix some stuff, and then it just turned into these long, drawn out, why is this not fixed yet type of like 1 week goes by and nothing's really happened type of thing.
Yeah, they ripped out the shower, then they redid it. And when I went and saw it the second time, that was when I said, stop, we're done here.
Subway tile was like crooked.
Okay, so you guys caught this fast.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. This is a great lesson. This is a great lesson. Jonathan, you notice they do a bad job on the shower. Did you already lose money by paying them and you didn't get that work or that money back, and you just kind of like had to walk away from saying, obviously this is lost, I'm not going to be able to get that money back type of thing?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, and what do you think that would cost you? Probably 10 grand?
Yeah.
10
probably
grand in maybe a month?
Yeah, at least a month.
Okay, so this is exactly why I'm doing this. Barbara Christie in the side comments, you see what she says? She says, I'm hiring contractors this week, listening closely. So you might think I'm just picking on you, but I already know that this is the reason why I somehow, some way saw you guys and selected you guys to chat with me is because of that exact situation.
Right.
Okay, because there's a lot of people in here that need to avoid this type of stuff. So let's give some people some tips, okay? Some stuff that would have helped you and some things that will help people going forward in the future, okay?
Yeah.
First and foremost, in fixing and flipping, here's the most unfortunate thing you're ever going to hear. Fixing and flipping is the only part of real estate that will never be fully automated. You will never be able to fully automate fixing and flipping, okay? I have some lessons even I'm learning or things that I've learned. Here's some tips. Let's give some tips away. Okay. First and foremost, you cannot automate a fix and flip business on the contractor side. How do I know this? Well, we've done nearly 7,000 renovations, and the renovations that go well are the ones that I'm stopping by at least once, sometimes twice a week. And if you were stopping by these projects twice a week, do you think some of this would happen?
No.
Okay. So what you did is you were like, okay, I assume this guy, I'm going to give you some kudos first and foremost, Jonathan. Like, I don't think you could have done much more on the interrogation side before you hired this guy. Like, what more could you have done than drive to projects, vet him? Like, you did a great job on that. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I guess I could have called the guy that he worked for
For
previously.
sure.
I didn't do
Okay.
that.
So there we go. Everybody write that down. 29 people in here. What could we do differently next time? Somebody says, hey, I've got some references. Don't avoid calling the references. Okay. Tip number 1, call the references. All right. Tip 2. Tip number 2, stop by every project you have at least once a week, if not, in my opinion, twice a week. Okay. Actually, that's not tip number 2. That's tip number 3. Here's tip number 2. Because Jonathan brings up a really, really good point here. Okay. Even if you call the references, it sounds like this guy that Jonathan was working with actually did a decent job of like demo and the rough work, because there's two parts of this job of every flip. There's the rough work and then there's the finish work. Okay. The rough work is like demoing, and the demo guys don't even have to be that clean, even though I prefer for me, I can judge a crew based on their demo. Like I can walk in and go, dude, you're not sweeping up at the end of the day. You're putting everything's everywhere. It's in disarray. I can tell a good crew and like how conscious they are just by walking through a house that they're demoing. But that's another conversation for another day. But rough work is like demo, cutting concrete to do the underground plumbing, removing some walls, scraping popcorn, like anything to remove or get ready for the finish work is rough work. And that's where you don't really need craftsmen. You could just have, I could literally go down to, you guys have Home Depot in Louisiana?
Yeah.
Or what do you guys still have? Ace Hardware?
Yeah. Yeah, both.
Okay. So Baton Rouge, that's one of the next three places we're going to go into. Okay. So tip 1, call references. Tip 2, Cody Williams says he's in Baton Rouge as well. Cody, have you hooked in with Jonathan and Ashton?
No. Oh, yeah.
What?
Okay. This is the beginning of friendships, guys.
Let's go.
I got a DM, by the way, from one of my sub 2 students. He goes, legit, in the last 30 days, I've made like lifelong friends in this mentorship. So guys, that's what this community is really going to be doing. You guys just don't know yet, because we haven't blown it up quite yet. So, tip 1, call references. 2, here's what I want you to do when you call the references. I think if you call those references, what happens if that guy you partnered with had only done rough work for one of those references? You would have gotten a screamingly positive reference, and you would have still ran into the same mistake, right?
Right.
Okay, so step 1 is call references. Step 2, ask what type of work they did. And you want to hear that they did 2 things. 1, they did finish work properly. So that's painting. That's tile work. That's countertops. That's the stuff that homeowners are going to notice when they walk through the property. Say, how are the finishes? And the second thing you want to ask is, did they finish on time, or did they drag things out and make excuses? Okay, so step 1, call references. Step 2, what questions are we asking, guys? Put this in the side chat. I want you guys to type these 2 questions out. When I called the references, did they finish on time, or did they drag it out and make excuses? And another question. What's the other question? What work they actually did. Okay. And you want to make sure that they did finishing work. Is everybody on the same page with me on this? I'm telling you, even Jonathan, who is a contractor, this is the problem with a contractor. Okay. This is a problem with you, Jonathan, as a contractor, is that you work for homeowners. Do you think homeowners are going to put up with any BS with finish work?
No.
Nope.
Okay. So here's what's ironic is you as a contractor think all contractors are going to think the same as you, because you're a contractor and you're like, oh, well, this guy's a contractor. He's done work. He knows what I've been through. He knows homeowners aren't going to put up with this crap. And so you assumed that it would be okay that you don't stop by the projects because this dude's in sync with you. And the reality is you're a finish contractor. Not many contractors can work for homeowners.
Yeah. Any
Any contractor can do like little handyman work. Anybody can go on like, not Upwork. What do you guys call it? What do you call it? It's OfferUp or Yelp or whatever, and do like handyman work, installing fans. Like anybody can do that stuff. But when you start doing tile work, oh my gosh, that's where the dividing line is real fast. Right? The cuts and the way they treat the edges, the way they do everything. Are they using spacers? Are they doing 1/8 inch grout lines? Or are we doing 16-inch grout lines? Like I've had tile guys that come in, and the second I go, yeah, I want my grout line to be 1/16, not an 1/8. They're, oh yeah, I can't do that. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I asked you right now. Please get the hell off my job, right? Those kind of things. So call references. 2, ask the references those 2 questions. And then 3, if you would have stopped by the job site once a week minimum, Jonathan, would that have solved or caught this problem earlier?
Yes.
Okay, so you weren't even stopping by once a week, and I appreciate your honesty. Thank you, by the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, if
You're
I was
busy,
looking
dude. If you're a contractor working for homeowners, you're doing estimates, you're doing glad handing, you're checking on those job sites, you're picking up checks, you're balancing payroll, you're cutting checks for payroll, you're depositing checks, you're doing all the things, kissing babies, shaking hands. And then you also have a wife and you guys have your own house to work on. And then you also have your real estate business to work on as well. Then you have mentorships to tune into on these Q&As. You got 1,000 things going on. And so you're like, I'll check in on it. You probably multiple times are like, I'll check in on it next week.
Yeah. Or I would stop in just to make sure that everybody was there and working, versus like really honing in on the details.
Was there ever a day where you just drove by to see trucks were in the driveway and then you're like, all right, I'm good. And then you went home?
Probably. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Does it sound like I've done this before?
Right. Yeah. Maybe once or twice.
Okay. So guys, I'm telling you, Jonathan and I have been on the same path. Okay. I have hired so many people thinking that they had the same thought process or mindset as me. And anytime I got a bad review on my contractor, like license or anything in the past, was always because I brought on a bad partner and I assumed that they were going to take care of the customers when they didn't. That was every time I made a mistake as a licensed contractor, every single time. So now you stop by the project. Here's step number 4. Here's a piece of advice number 4 for the night. Okay. Is setting expectations. Okay. So Jonathan, let's say that you told this guy, what's this guy's fake name? Give me a fake name. What's your dad's name?
Randy.
Randy. Okay. I like Randy. Randy, the crappy hand guy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you told Randy up front, hey bro, this means a lot to me. This is my family's business.
Yeah.
I'm going out on a limb here to trust you. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I don't trust a lot of people outside of myself. So if things start going bad and I just go, hey man, stop and pump the brakes. We probably need to call this quits. Are you going to be offended if I bring that up to you? And he's going to be like, no. And then go, okay, great. What's the safe word? What's the word I can say to you that you can't be offended and you just know I'm not happy and we just part ways? And he might say banana, or he might say, what do you guys eat in Baton Rouge? Crawdaddies?
Yeah. Crawdaddies.
He might say crawdaddies, right? Whatever the word is, or whatever the phrase is, we do that now with our contractors. Okay. So when we bring on a new crew, and I'll kind of tell you guys, I rarely will ever bring on a single guy. I always bring on a crew, and I always go through and ask, okay, who's your electrician? Who's your guy? Who's your this? Who's your that? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Because we're scaled to a point now where I can't just rely on one person. We have 25, I think we have 25 or 27 active projects right now. So I can't have one crew. I can't have 2 crews. I think we have 5 right now. Okay. And we're interviewing crews all the time. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to set expectations as number 4. Say, hey man, it sounds like your references turned out really great. I'm super excited about this. However, I'm really learning. You want to have some sort of expectation up front that it's okay for you to just call it quits. Just say, hey man, I probably just need to take it over. Maybe that's the line. Hey man, let me take it over. Okay. Because what was happening in your relationship, Jonathan, with Randy, is that you were wondering, how do I bring this up? Mm-hmm. And you feel bad when you're now pulling somebody off a job site and you have to justify your position. It was probably a pretty awkward thing that you had to go through and just kind of fight through it. And unfortunately, can we all tell that Jonathan and Ashton are nice people? Can anybody tell that by their demeanor and their like energy? Give me some yeses and some nos in the comments. Anybody have a no?
Thank y'all.
Okay. So it's pretty easy to tell like who has light behind them and who has energy and all that kind of stuff. You guys have energy. And so what typically happens with the good energy, the people who are aligned with like positivity, guess what you have a really hard time doing? You have a hard time telling people this isn't working out. Because you feel, what's funny is you couldn't care so much about you. You feel bad about like hurting other people's feelings.
Yeah.
Have some expectations like, hey, it's okay for us to split up.
Right.
And catch it as fast as you possibly can. Okay. Step 5. The second it goes bad, that's when you go back to number 4.
Right.
Not give them a second chance. There is no second chance on tile work. You either do good tile work or you don't. There is no, I'm going to do it a second time, because guess what you just did? You now cost me materials and you cost me 3 or 4 days of hard money costs or whatever it is, are you guys using hard money?
No. Well, it's like a personal loan. It is a personal loan.
Okay, so
So
money lender, not a hard money lender, but a private money lender.
right.
Okay, great. So the second things start going bad to a point where you're like, oh, wow, you can't actually do this. Okay. If you walk into a tile shower and you're not happy with it, I can tell you a homeowner is not going to be happy with it. So Linda McKinney says, I would just say this isn't working for me. Right. And so that's 4. Make sure you have some expectations and you have a safe word. Make sure you have a sentence that you tell them, hey, at any point. So Barbara Christie, if you hire whoever you end up hiring, you need to, number 1, call references. Number 2, ask those 2 questions. Did this person do finish work for you or just rough work? And the second question to ask is, did they finish on time or did they give you a bunch of bogus excuses? Okay. The third thing is stop by your project 1 to 2 times a week minimum. And don't just pull the good old Jonathan move where you don't even put the truck in park. You just slowly pump the brakes and then you hit the gas. All right, these guys are good. I'm going home. My wife is hot. I'm going home immediately. Okay. So you want to make sure that you stop, put the truck in park, go in there, shake hands with the people that are working. I always, you guys will see this on my Instagram all the time. Put my arm around Pancho, put my arm around Benny. I take photos with my guys. I put them on my social media. I love my people. Yeah. And even when my people are not my people, I love them.
Right.
Okay. So like your guy brought his people to the table. Wouldn't it be smart for you to know each one of those people's names?
Look, I knew their names better than he did.
Well, there you go.
Bad situation. Yeah.
Interesting, right? So this guy was just going on Craigslist or doing anything he possibly could to throw a crew together. And he was like, what it probably was is he was a project manager for somebody else. He'd never managed like another contractor's work.
Right.
And so he went and started, putting together a team so he could start charging you cost plus, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody not know what cost plus means? So this is a contractor phrase, okay? There's 2 ways to charge a client or to do an estimate. You can do cost plus. And what that means is if I'm the contractor, I'm the general contractor. So I'm going to go find the tile guy that I trust, and I'm going to bring that tile guy to your plate. Whatever he charges is cost. And then I'm going to charge plus. There's also something called cost plus plus, which means I'm going to charge a management fee, and then I'm also going to charge a contractor fee, which are actually 2 different things. Just kind of depends on who the contractor is and how they do the work. The third way of giving an estimate is you just bundle it all together, and the homeowner has no idea how much the tile guy is actually costing you, and it's just all lumped into your price. Okay. But cost plus means whatever the materials cost plus 20%, whatever the labor cost plus 20%. So I make 20% as the contractor. I found as a contractor charging homeowners, that was never enough for me. I always wanted to make sure I was trying to make 40, sometimes 50%. Sometimes depending on the job, I'd make 100%, right? Like if my shower guy would charge $1,000 in labor, I would charge the homeowner $2,000 in labor, right? So I wasn't going to tell my homeowner, hey, $1,000 plus 20%, because then that limited my ability to only make $200 on that. And I'm telling you, managing a contractor or managing a tile guy for, a week to do a big, nice master shower is worth more to me than $200. Like I need to charge $1,000, right? So for me, when I was a contractor, what I would do is I would take the price of the tile guy, demo guy, framing, electrical, all that stuff. I would add my percentage on each line item so that it never showed my fee. It just all came in. And then at the bottom, I also charged a 15% contractor fee. That's what I did.
Genius.
Jonathan, did you learn something new right there?
So smart. Yeah. Because 20% is never enough. It's like we go through the insurance audit and coming into our 2nd year, and it's like, dang, we're not charging enough.
Yeah, you're not charging enough. And the reason why and the justification for the 15% is I tell them that that's my cost of basically my insurance. Like you want a warranty, you want all this stuff, this is what it costs me. I have to have I have to have general liability. I have to have workman's comp. I have to have all these things. And in order for me to cover that cost, I put it here. I make my money on your estimate, but you want a licensed bonded contractor that costs me, 15%.
Yeah.
Roofing companies charge like 25 or 35% because their workman's comp is so high.
Mhm.
For sure.
Okay. Anyway, you guys don't care about this stuff. Jonathan might, but that's another conversation for another day. So when you are stopping by the project, you want to know these individual guys. Some of my best crews. So Benny, my main foreman, Chava and Pancho, all three of these guys were originally on another person's crew. And I went in, got to know all of them. And when that foreman, I call him foreman. So the guy that you had managing your project, I would call him a foreman in my business. Okay. You call him a project manager, but a project manager for me was somebody that was is never actually talking to the contractors to tell them what to do. Anna talks to my foreman talks to the contractors, if that makes sense. I'm a little bit more scaled, right? I'm a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So Anna's talking to our main foreman, then the foremen have their own crews. What would happen a lot of times is a foreman like your guy, Randy, wouldn't work out. But because I knew the tile guy, I knew the drywall guy, I knew the framing guy, I knew all that kind of stuff, I just made sure they knew who I was. I was DMing them on Instagram. So if that foreman fell out, I kept those relationships for the people I wanted to keep those relationships. Okay. Now, am I trying to go around Randy? Absolutely not. I want Randy to be in my world. Randy is my Benny. Randy is my Pancho. Randy is my Chava. Okay. Chava started out as a tile guy, and I very quickly realized he did great work. We became friends. I would stop by the projects, deliver lunch. So for me, that's another tip. When you're stopping by the project, Jonathan needs to be delivering donuts, Coke, bag of ice, whatever it is. Always come bearing gifts. So when you show up to the project, everybody's happy.